What's up, guys? Kevin Cage back with another XRP update. If you want daily crypto news, be sure to like and subscribe, and let's get right into it. So first off, before going over the XRP chart and what we're seeing and what I'm hoping for personally, I still want to reference a few quotes of Stuart Elderati later in this video. I will be playing some short, maybe 1 minute, 2 minute video clips of last month's video. And please, I know the average XRP holder investor is going to roll their eyes and skip past this, but these smart people will understand that this information is worth a lot. And yes, it is very insightful for the months ahead. And keep in mind, this video that I'm about to show you came out last month. I'm certain many of you watched it, the recent Ripple drop. But again, Stuart Elderati drops some absolute bombs in it referring to US regulation, and I personally share a lot of his views as well. So first off, I was hoping that XRP would get this push already to 38 cents or 39 cents, kind of this 200 moving average on the 4 hour. And of course, this is a famous point of support as well as resistance that we have overcome. And if we do typically break through and kind of go through here, riding this 9-day EMA perfectly for the past few 4-hour candles, get to that 38 cents. If we break through that, typically we almost always go right to 46 cents. I would love nothing more than that. And just remember, I mean, a lot of assets have been doing this. So just to speed through the top 100, tell you which assets I like briefly, we can see on the 7-day, which is important, the cryptocurrency market cap globally is over $1 trillion. People said this asset class, was never going to survive, and yet here we are. Now, even if we ever pull back, I do not care, because when adoption comes, utility will take us through that roof, and I'm not selling my assets long-term. Everything I buy and hold, I'm willing to hold for 2, 3, or even 5 more years at the very least. And I'm not here for easy money. I am here to essentially outweight the majority of people. That's how I'm going to be making my money. So Ethereum up 67% on 7 days. XRP up almost 50% on 7 days. You can see Litecoin up 30% again. Bitcoin Cash as well. I love Roger and everything he stands for, but I personally do not hold any BCH. Just a personal choice. Cardano up 88% on the 7-day. Chainlink up almost 50%. XLM almost up 146%. What a behemoth. Typically, XRP and XLM will play little tag here, and now currently 31 cents XLM and XRP is 33 cents. Now, historically, XRP is usually 2 to 3 times the value of XLM, which would put it at 66 cents or 99 cents per XRP. That would be great. There's a plethora of considerations, because remember, the supply of XLM was also burnt in the past. So we're going to keep an eye on that. And yes, who knows how high we will go, at least in the near term, if Bitcoin keeps this fun going. I know there's a variety of different types of alt seasons as well. I would love nothing more for us to get some alt runs in the coming weeks and coming months. All right, I'm in some active trades currently. Other times I also have some money on the side waiting, and we will simply see. Binance Coin. I wish I bought more of this when it was cheap. That is one of my regrets. I've missed a lot of opportunities, guys, a lot of mistakes along the way, but I'm sure we all have those stories. I know there's some big wins and big losses. I wish I bought Theta when it was so low. It's absolutely killing it, even though it's down 15% on the 7-day. If you guys saw its gains, recently this past year, that's nothing. All right, Tezos up 32%, VeChain up 46%, Uniswap for all of you that like Uni. SNX Synthetics has always had promising returns. I remember when it was like $2, 6 months ago, 4 months ago, 3 months ago. It's had some substantial gains as well. Lend has always just been crushing it. I feel like it's ahead in its pattern, even past Bitcoin. Let's see. I'm not even going to mention Doge. There was some other ones. Filecoin is something I'm looking at currently and interested in. Zilliqa had some massive gains, not this week, but the weeks previous to this. We also see Solana is up 90%. Waves, of course, is in some very interesting documents. I pay attention to that. Algorand, a personal favorite of mine, one of my big long-term holdings. Avalanche, as we talk about. Remember, this guy was under $3 recently, 105%. Now, this, of course, is related with consensus for working with everything, the Flare networks and the XRP ledger. So I'm very excited to keep an eye on that. OMG has some deep ties with a lot of countries, such as I believe Singapore, just like Zilliqa is deeply tied into Singapore and a lot of these friendlier jurisdictions. All right, Nano's up 250%. Wow. Loopring, has this been added to Coinbase? This has been on my radar for a while because it's been on that list to be added to Coinbase. I just have not checked. So obviously, I'd expect many coins that will be added to Coinbase to pump again. All right, RSR, a lot of good investments as well are backing this, such as Coinbase. RSR 60% up. The graph, of course, it had those recent pumps. Digi had some recent pumps weeks ago, months ago, doing very well. BAT 36% up. Terra Luna, personal favorite of mine, 30%. Let's see. I'm almost done, guys. Just want to speed through this. Kyber up 52% on the week. Ample is chilling once again. We'll see if we get another leg up. Energy Web Token, big partnerships with the XRP Ledger Foundation, of course, and QNT, another personal long-term holdings of mine, along with, EWT. I almost say UT or like Newt because it reminds me of the spelling. But again, 50% up. Beautiful. Band, 72%. Ocean, I love. Great, great fundamentals as well. All about data. And that's about it. That is on my radar, at least in the top 100 on CoinMarketCap. All right. So I'm hoping. So we're at 33 cents. We've been at 32 cents for a while. I've been in this trade. I'm really just hoping this isn't a fake out. I want to get that next leg up. A lot of assets have pushed up all the way up to this next point of resistance which would be, 46 to even 60 cents, if not higher. And some assets have pushed right through. So we will see some assets are also building this, this kind of like double top right here, boom, boom, and breaking through. We can watch the behavior of, so this is the 9-day EMA, and this is the 21-day. We just kind of watch that behavior, and I'm hoping that we can shoot up just like we did in the past. Looking at even, other indicators, the RSI, excuse me, I almost said RSR, like crypto. I hope that we can just push through this on the 4-hour. We can look at the daily. You can do whatever you want and just kind of take a stab at it. And historically, if the stochastic can pop up, we should get a push up. So I'm really hoping for that. I have a big trade counting on it as well, so hopefully I don't jinx it by posting this on YouTube. And also, you can look at a variety of other assets doing the same moves loosely. Even like Walton Chain came up through this cup, pushed through, and arguably, we could be around this level. Could we get that next leg up all the way to 38 cents, 46 cents? Very possible. Watching the MAs, the moving averages, and watching them get in that order again. 50, 100, 200, just shooting up. So that is prime time for a potential pump. So we will see. I don't want to jinx it. Do not put, don't risk and do not do any leverage with these trades, guys, just because I'm talking about this. Be smart, do your own research, and this is not financial advice. All right, so on to the good stuff before I keep ranting. And this is just a quote I wanted to share before we get into it. So save a portion of every dollar you earn. Don't spend more than you have. Make investments that will earn you money over time. The key ingredient in each of these steps is patience. And again, I just want to essentially repeat this like always. The most money I've ever made, in investing overall, has been just in the waiting, sitting on my hands, doing nothing. Yes, you have anxiety when you're watching other projects go up. You want to chase it. But in my experience, every time I chase it, I usually lose money. And if you want to build wealth, plan for the long term and be patient. The years ahead are going to be a very, very different picture. And unfortunately, the newcomers are going to come in here. Maybe they bought XRP at 80 cents. They panic sold, at 20 cents, like things of this nature. And it's psychologically taxing. It'll break you down. So one way to beat the market is to be stronger than the majority psychologically. And that is what I feel I have. And I think a lot of people that view this channel do. The XRP community has steel hands, just some of the most hardcore investors, holders that I've ever seen in my life. And I think they're going to make a movie about some of the XRP holders in the XRP community, kind of like The Big Short, because it's been insane. It's been a rough ride, and we are not out yet. And I'm telling you, we're gonna be happy when we get it, but we're gonna miss this journey. I know we want that moon money, but I think looking back, we're gonna be smiling, as dark as it has been in 2020 and even with 2021. All right, full faith. Let's keep moving. So this was what I was referring to. This is a 3-minute read. This was uploaded on YouTube, I believe, as well on November 13th, November 12th. And this is the Ripple drop. Developing the XRP Ledger, the future of crypto regulations in the United States. Now, we have a few people speaking in this, like Nick Bugalis again, and Reinhard, but I want to show you just a few clips of Stuart Alderati, specifically now that we're facing all of these SEC allegations essentially 1 month later. And this all came out on December 21st, the darkest day of the year. Very weird. There's a lot of coincidences. Maybe they're not all coincidental. Nonetheless, let's listen to a few of these clips. Please stick around for this. And I may get a copyright strike, so if I do, I'll just have to remove this from the video. So appreciate it. Links are in the video description, and let's get into it. So first things first, again, just talking about the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau's recognition of Ripple the company and XRP as a consumer-friendly cross-border payment solution is signs of hope for the United States industry. Very telling. We have the OCC again, allowing banks to hold cryptocurrency, breaking down the barriers. And again, Stuart kind of talks about the SEC and how they handled ICO's initial coin offerings early on, and they need to, many were fraudulent. There were a lot of scams. many were not legitimate, but there are some use cases for blockchain, like real use cases and real innovation being done. And not all crypto projects are fraudulent. And the US is potentially going to miss out. And one of the quotes that Stuart says is, we are dangerously close to losing that opportunity in the United States when it comes to blockchain and digital assets. So listen up to this first clip.
What happened was the SEC kind of got stuck, and I think they considered all things blockchain or combined with all things crypto or digital as potentially fraudulent, and they didn't recognize the breakthrough innovation that these technologies allow. So what's happened with the OCC now, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, which is the national regulator for banks in the US, they've now come out affirmatively, and they're basically telling banks through this initial guidance, look, don't be afraid of something that's crypto. You can actually get involved with crypto, and in the first step, we're going to allow you to custody crypto. Just like you have a safe deposit box, someone brings you their jewelry or brings you their stock certificates, you can custody crypto, whatever that may mean. It's probably, custodying keys or custodying passwords. We also saw the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau earlier this year recognize Ripple and XRP and our solution as consumer friendly when it comes to cross-border payments. So I think what this adds up to is that while the SEC started out strong on ICOs, and I think we're doing their job, they're now falling way behind the technology and the conversation and the innovation. So it's good to see other regulators like the OCC and the CFPB in the US kind of leading the discussion now.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think the SEC is sort of falling behind in crypto regulation in the US as opposed to other countries around the world?
A big part of it is because the way the SEC was first introduced to the issue. The chair of the SEC is a gentleman by the name of this thing called an ICO, where folks are out issuing cryptocurrencies and doing it in a way, quite frankly, promising a project to somebody who turns over their money, and there's no substance to the project. Again, I think that's their initial orientation to the space. And they haven't been able to get past that and recognize that this is a real technology that is transformational. And so we have this tension between regulation and innovation. And the SEC has chosen to regulate the space by enforcement. So what does that mean? Rather than providing clear guidance, and what I mean by clear guidance is if a good actor looks at the guidance, they say, if I do this, there's a presumption then that I'll act within the boundaries of the law or the regulation. So
and this is key to remember.
We know what bad looks like, but we don't know. We're left to guess what good looks like, and that's just not healthy. And one more thing I'll say on this. The SEC did go so far back in, I think it was 2018, to declare that both Bitcoin and Ether kind of get their good housekeeping stamp of approval. In other words, those would not be regulated by the SEC. I think I understand maybe why they did that. It's troubling though, because about 65% of the mining pools behind Bitcoin and Ether are centralized in China.
65% of the mining pools behind Bitcoin and Ethereum.
And obviously the narrative around the China and the economic tensions and the technology tensions and the sort of this economic and technology Cold War that we're currently in with China. It's unfortunate that the SEC has decided to kind of bless two Chinese-controlled assets and not really give that clearance to other American entrepreneurial companies who are looking to leverage blockchain and digital assets.
If the US wants to get an advantage in this sort of tech Cold War, what do they need to do?
I think what they need to do, they need to look at what other countries have done.
So now this goes on to talk about utility tokens, payment tokens, and security tokens. You guys tell me down below which you think XRP is.
Like Singapore and Japan, for example, which basically said, look, here's a clear licensing regime. If you want to engage in the business of blockchain or digital assets, come to us, come to your financial regulator in Singapore or Japan, get a license, and then we'll kind of supervise that conduct. So we're not saying you can't do it.
And keep in mind, even like SAMA, the Saudi Arabian Monetary Authority, Singapore, the Monetary Authority of Singapore, all of these regions, specifically SAMA as an example, Ripple took them with a group of banks and they essentially were going to do a sandbox test for the banks, and right away regulators, SAMA, said, you're good to go, you can just start going live production, things of that nature. That is allowing true innovation. We know regions, now we know Ripple's regional headquarters is in Dubai. We know, the remittance fees, that people are highly affected. People that need it the most are affected in the UAE. So these trends are happening now. These countries will not be waiting for the US, but if the United States does take a bold position, yes, they could potentially still be one of the leaders in the space. It's not too late for them, but we're entering dangerously close territory, and it will be decision time shortly, which means there are massive opportunities for us. While there is fear in the market, while there is uncertainty, we can capitalize off of that.
It, or if you do it, you're going to be left to guess whether we think it's good or bad. Here's an avenue to come in, get licensed, show us that you have control, show us that you have an anti-money laundering system, show us that you've got good governance, you've got smart people. We'll come in and we'll audit that on a periodic basis and we'll allow you to conduct the business. Those are two really good models. Another model is the UK. What they did in the UK is they said, look, we're not going to go down a licensing regime, but we're going to basically give you a clear taxonomy, which is a fancy word for definitions, and say that this is how we think about digital assets. A digital asset can be a utility token, you use it for an actual use. It could be a payments token, you use it to actually make payments, or it could be a security token where it represents a right, title, or interest in another company. And depending on which...
So obviously XRP is not a security token. There will be security tokens and they'll be really valuable and actually have utility. But XRP is, it's not even necessarily a utility token. It's more so, at least how Ripple's using it, as a payments token, that medium of exchange, a currency, so to speak. Now there could be other commodities or utility tokens that help stabilize networks and, provide security. Yes. And, XRP could potentially do that as well. All I'm saying is XRP is not a security token, meaning it does not guarantee you any shares or equity of the company Ripple. And I think that's very clear. All of us understand that completely.
Category it falls into, we will regulate it under the existing laws, but they clearly articulate what the characteristics are of those various buckets, utility token, payments token, and securities token. So if I look at it, I can say, all right, my asset doesn't look like a security token because it doesn't represent a right, title, or interest in a company, but some people may want to use it for payments, or some people may want to use it for a real use case. So I'll fall under those buckets, and I can have a level of comfort that the regulator in the UK is going to respect those definitions.
So we need specific guidelines, rules of the road of what you can and cannot do. And I'll keep screaming this from the rooftops because the average investor, at least in the XRP community, needs to be aware of all of this and not be scared out by these typical FUD tactics that we've seen years and years, or time and time again. All right, now 1840 mark I wanted to show you, and we're almost done. And these are very good points right here.
Back to the US, where the SEC, I think 2.5 years ago, was doing the good work of a financial markets regulator. I think now they're losing the thread on this, and they're really out of step, not only with other regulators in the US like the OCC or the CFPB, but other regulators globally. And then the risk of what's going to happen, innovation in this space will not develop robustly in the US, because if I'm a young innovator and I'm looking at the US regulatory landscape, and I'm not really sure whether what I'm about to do is going to be considered good or bad, I probably say, I don't even want to start my project, so I never even start the innovation.
So see, without clear guidelines, innovators are actually afraid of the repercussions to innovate, get fined, fail altogether, get stuck, not be able to pivot. So it's pushing innovators to other countries like the UK, Singapore, Japan, Switzerland, you name it, Malta, Luxembourg. There's a lot of other nations that are ahead of the curve. So yes, we're coming to a point where it's going to be decision time.
The other risk is I take it and I say, you know what? I'm going to go to Singapore, I'm going to go to Japan, I'm going to go to Switzerland, I'm going to go to the UK, and I'm going to build my innovation there. And think about like in the mid-1990s when this thing called the internet started, nobody knew how big it was going to get. Nobody knew its use cases.
And just like today, many people, even on CNBC, don't really know how big this is going to get. Even us, people in it, we have no limit or price cap or ceiling of how big this revolution will be. It's not going to be just finance. It's going to be data as well. It's going to essentially bring everything together and just explode and be the final components of that Cambrian explosion, like Chris Larson says, regarding goods like logistics, data and messaging, and then value. Again, this is crypto assets playing a central role, getting rid of intermediaries. This is one of the biggest transfers of wealth that will ever happen.
At the time, people said, well, the internet, people are using it for, quite frankly, the discussion was either child pornography, or they were using it to have secret messages so they can, engage in illicit activities. But the US government basically said, look, this is a really new technology. We don't understand it, but it seems to have this tremendous promise. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to allow this thing to flourish. We're not going to allow it to flourish in a way that's going to be really damaging. But we're going to allow the innovation to flourish and not be suffocated by the regulation. And then look what we have. The U.S. is clearly the leader in all things internet over the past, 30 years. And I think we are dangerously close in the U.S. to losing that opportunity when it comes to blockchain technology and digital asset technology. And we're going to potentially forego it if we haven't done so already to these other jurisdictions.
Exactly.
And
then last but not least, right here, and then we're going to take one last look at the chart.
Saying that there's something there is a there, and we can't let the moment pass. But I think, yes, the U.S. has a tremendous opportunity to be a thought and global leader in this space. And as I say, we're dangerously close to having that opportunity kind of pass us by.
Exactly, and that is one of the reasons why I'm not actually scared. I'm excited for what this opportunity could bring. Could it be bad news that brings the price down? I'm buying more. Or is it finally going to be good news to send us upward? So we're going to keep a close eye on this, of course. There's many assets you can be looking at. I know you guys can look at this like a bull flag. We're going to pop up. I want nothing more than that. Break through 38 cents. We're going right to 46. Other assets have. if you even compare like VeChain, XLM, like other assets, they broke through here, boom, and then exploded again. So there's nothing off the table. Again, I'm on the sidelines with a lot of cash as well as a lot of XRP holdings. So I'm just going to move with the market, do the best I can when I can do it, just like anybody. We're all trying our best, hoping that, this little golden cross comes into play here with the 50 and the 100 cutting through, and it may be go time. Hopefully we don't jinx it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Links are in the video description, and I will catch you in the next one.